Hi everyone, I'm Jario, and I'm so glad you're joining us here at School of Love. Today, I wanted to talk to you about magnets. You see, these are really powerful instruments. They're really fun to play with, and they can teach us a lot. And a few weeks ago, my son and I had a teaching moment dealing with magnets. Now, it wasn't on their cool effects, right? It was actually a mistake that my son made. So a few weeks ago, we're sitting in the bathtub. My son's sitting in the bathtub, and I'm hanging out with him. And he's playing with toys. And suddenly, he looks up at me with the most shocked, scared look in his eyes. He was terrified. I said, "Kyler, what's wrong? What's wrong?" He said, "I swallowed a magnet." And I said, "Are you okay? Can you breathe? Are you doing okay?" And he said, "Yeah, I lost my magnet." And so I called up the poison control and I called around and I made sure that there was no issues. And thankfully, he was breathing fine. And they said, as long as he's breathing fine, keep an eye on him, make sure that he's doing fine, but he should be okay. And we were really grateful for that. But I was really also grateful for my son. He was honest with me. He was open with me. He knew his mistake. He realized what the problem was. And he talked to me about it. And because he talked to me about it, I could confirm what the problem was and what our solution had to be. Because ultimately, we all are going to make mistakes, right? We all make mistakes sometimes. And this open communication allows me as a parent to step in and to help coach my child, to take them by the hand and walk them through the problem and how to fix and find that real solution. So this was a teaching moment, and I actually sat down with my son after, and I shared with him. I said, I'm really grateful that you were honest and open with me. I'm glad we could talk about it. I'm not angry at you. We all make mistakes. And he looked up at me, he goes, "Really, do you make mistakes?" I said, "Sure, I make mistakes." He said, "Oh, tell me about your mistakes." So I started telling him little stories about me being a kid and maybe me playing with matches or me hurting someone, one of my friends or one of my brothers, and little things that I did that I stepped out of line. I knew I wasn't supposed to do, but I did anyways, and how that affected me. And it became this great opportunity for my son and I to bond, to understand that we're both going through growing process. We're both taking steps to learn. And on that journey of fulfillment of development as a human being, we stumble along the way. And so some of the things that I learned was, first, when my son makes a mistake, and I've been really conscientious about this since, is not to overreact. Your children already know that they made a mistake. My son knew that we had told him 1,000 times, don't put stuff in your mouth. And he told us every time, "Oh, don't worry, I won't swallow it," until the time that he finally did, right? So I realized it wouldn't have been good for me to explode on him, to shout at him, to tell him that he was wrong. He knew that he made a mistake. And what he needed the most at that moment was for me as a parent to love him, to put grace around him, to support him. When I came into it in that situation, when I came at it with that approach, it opened up communication. And so me and my child could ask questions of each other. I could ask him questions, and he felt he was safe enough to make those statements, to tell me exactly what had happened. And because he was able to tell me exactly what was happening, because we were able to ask questions of each other, to dialogue, we were able to find a solution that would bring him back to full health. So it's important to not overreact, to ask questions. And also, as a parent, we have to let our children know that we make mistakes. Sometimes we hold our children to such high standards that they feel like, I can never live up to it. But when we acknowledge that we also make mistakes, it opens up our child to see themselves as a growth in process, right? To see their life as learning lessons. And so by admitting my own mistakes, we built this bond with one another. We broke down some barriers, some walls, and allowed ourselves to see each other as both on a journey of growth. And he could see himself in my shoes, I could see myself in his shoes, and it normalized that behavior. Also, it creates this open communication, this safe place for sharing. When we recognize that you were a kid once, right? Then your children have this open, safe way to communicate with you. When you're not overreacting, when there's a lot of questions, when there's this admittance of our own mistakes, we're creating a safe and open place for our children to communicate with us. Because let's face it, there will be things that your children do that you've asked them not to do, that you've told them, don't cross the street, don't walk on an ice, pond, don't do this, don't do that. And we tell them these things, and our children have that ingrained in their mind. And so sometimes when they make mistakes, they want to hide it, they want to cover it up. But if we've created an environment where they feel like they can be open and honest with us, where they're safe to express even their mistakes, then our children are more likely to come to us and seek advice on how to resolve these situations. Because ultimately, as a parent, all of us, we want our children to be healthy, and we want them to have whole relationships, right? We know that our children are going to stumble on their journey. We know that they might make a mistake, and they might view pornography. They might hurt their friend. They might get in a fight. They might, try a cigarette. They might try something that they shouldn't try. But if we created the foundation for open and honest communication, we can expect that our children will come to us, and that we can then be the parent to guide them through that process. So everyone, I just want to encourage you to build that relationship with your children. Open up your communication with them. Be careful about how you react when you find out they've done something you've asked them not to do. And try to keep in mind that you need to keep this open and honest communication so that your children continue to come to you. I hope that this can be a boost and encouragement to all of you. And if you've overstepped sometimes, I've also overreacted. I've had my blow-ups. We've all done it. But to try and just be conscientious about it, just to recognize when your children make a mistake, that you are ultimately want what's best for them, and try and keep that perspective. And I hope this helps you. I hope this little tidbit, my little scare with my son, can help some of you. And if you'd like to find out more, we've got a lot of resources at schooloflove.org. We're just here to walk alongside you as a parent, support you, and provide resources that can help you navigate these difficult situations. Thanks so much. We really appreciate your support. Like us, share us, let people know that we're here to help. Thanks so much. We'll see you next time.